Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're happy to be on this episode of 193. I'm super happy coming from Dubai. I just finished my full day of Crypto Expo. I think it's this year's edition is amazing, good quality of speakers and exhibitors, and a lot of interesting people to meet. So I had the opening panel discussion this morning. It was very interesting, sharing it with Ripple, sharing it with leaders in the market, and understanding more what's happening in the world. So without further ado, let's welcome Tay, and Tay. How are you, Tay? I
Good
cannot hear you.
afternoon, Rudy. تحياتي لك and for everyone watching us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. We had a pretty boring week, I would say. Some interesting news, some positive news came out from the Binance and the SEC. We're gonna discuss this
Is there
today.
such a thing? Is there such a thing as a boring news? Boring
Boring.
week.
I mean, yeah, boring week. We're used to the action that we saw in the past few months, whether it was regulatory action or hacks, leaks, teams breaking apart, projects going down. But this week was relatively quiet. I hope it's the still before the storm. Um, the case of FTX is still ongoing as well. We will talk about it towards the end of our session for today.
Indeed. So let me just share this and then we start. So, as usual, we start with our very important fraud section. We're very keen on understanding, making you understand, and then sharing the much knowledge that we have regarding the fraud and how what's happening in the world of fraud. So join us in discovering. Uh, as usual, one of the major things, and today I was speaking with head of MENA of chain analysis. Fraud is not on the rise; it's on actually on a downtrend. Why? Because simply hackers, fraudsters, they started understanding that the blockchain is really their counterparty, as not their best friend. Everything that you can track, was it from transaction, wherever it goes, and being flagged by the police or being flagged by the FBI or whoever, any of the authorities, is not a good thing. And now there's a new thing with exchanges where they can reverse the transactions. Because remember, one of the most important part of anything that you do is what? Not your keys, not your coins, and it's not your wallet. So always make sure that you don't fall for those uh, part of the gangs that they are trying to do. Make sure that you understand who you are dealing with. Don't jump on a fraudster or identity theft, because as you know, myself and Tay and many in the crypto space and other spaces are being hacked for their identity, simulated similar names with possibly if it looks the same, but it might be some different characters. So always watch out for those fraudsters, and then most importantly, watch out for the smart contracts. And we are seeing some hacks on the smart contracts, because guess what? We do read smart contracts, but we don't actually. So what is in the smart contract? And when we sign with a website which we don't know, we are signing, of course, but we don't know what's the contract is about, especially with MetaMask. So make sure if you are doing something, because there was a fraud last week of $80,000 that happened using a smart contract on MetaMask. And guess what? They emptied the wallet. It happened to me. I had very limited transaction there, so always do watch out. So, what do we have? Events? What did the team prepare? We're media partners with Ultrasha Construction Technology Web3 Summit. Also, we're happy to announce on some of the events that are happening today. I was speaking with Crypto Expo, and we are partnered with Crypto Expo. Again, it's an amazing event. There's the Cybersecurity Innovation Future Citizen Summit in Kuwait, and the Future Banks that is happening also this month. So it's a busy month, and next month is even a busier uh, month of this. So with that, I'd rather deliver the platform today so that he can actually start with the news. Here we go. Tay, you're muted again.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to week 38. In this episode, we're gonna first start with a breaking news, but it's as well happy news. Simon Tadros, the Lebanese uh, crypto developer, has been acquitted of all charges and he is free from jail. He's no longer wanted by the Belgian authorities for the false accusations of him being a hacker or a scammer and stealing crypto coins from a Belgian citizen. The verdict came yesterday, and Simon is on his way back to Lebanon. So, as Rudy was mentioning, many of us perhaps we do not read properly the information in front of us, especially when it comes to people impersonating other characters. They tend to change a letter that is very similar to the characters in the handle. So, for example, uh, our handles at Flus are FLUUS. So when it's written as FLUUS. But what scammers or fraudsters can do, they can change the L into a capital I. So it reads like Flus, FLUUS, but actually it's FIUUS. Why I'm mentioning this? Because this what happened with Simon, a Belgian citizen who usually asks for help from some crypto people on a group on Discord, and there is a specific person that he always reaches out to for help. This person um, received a link from the same handle, but it was just a small change in the letter itself. So the letter O, instead of having the letter O in its normal shape, it had a point on top of it. This Belgian investor, his name is W, did not notice this, and W gave TeamView access to this scammer, and the scammer was able to empty $200,000 worth of crypto on W's wallet. And at a later stage, this crypto was valued at around $650,000. Where did Simon come here in the middle? He was a victim of a I would say misinterpretation, of ignorance perhaps, from the Belgian authorities. And after an extensive investigation that ran more than 1 year, and they paid hundreds of thousands of euros in these investigations because chain analysis was involved, and other US companies with some European companies as well. And this cost them a lot of money. At the end, the result was the guy is innocent. Uh, On-chain activity, off-chain activity, it all proved otherwise. So with this, again, we say congrats to Simon because we know this was a very heavy journey for him. He lost family members in this process. He got physically and mentally sick in this process. So again, congratulations, Simon. Unfortunately, we were not able to help you as much as we wanted and as much as we could, but we're happy for this result, and we're happy for this verdict that you are innocent. And with this, Rudy, we can start our session for week 38. As we discussed last week, that the short-term holders, they are now the most suffering party in the crypto space because they are holding their coins underwater. They're holding their coins in loss. So the metrics, they still show us that those short-term holders are still holding coins at loss. But what is the explanation behind it? Well, during bear markets, when more than 97.5 of the supply acquired by new investors is at loss, the chance of seller exhaustion increases exponentially. Sellers prefer to keep their coins than to sell them at loss, and I believe that in the future the prices will go back up again. On the other hand, when more than 97% of the short-term holder supply is in profit, the same players, they tend to take advantage of this market situation, either exit at a profit or exit at break even. So during the rally above 30,000, this metric had a complete profit saturation for the first time since November 2021, when we had the all-time high. However, since the selling off below 26K in recent weeks, now more than 97.5% of the short-term holder supply is at loss, being the deepest level since FTX collapsed. This is a good news and the bad news at the same time. It's bad news because investors are bleeding. We don't know how much further they will continue in holding these knives and catching these knives. At the other hand, it's good news because it seems like every single time the belief of short-term holders is shaken, but still they prefer to hold their bitcoins at a loss for now because they believe for a massive bull run in the future is there. And in previous sessions, we talked about what are the indicators and what were the drivers for this next bull run that we're gonna see. So we're gonna start our news with the major development from this week, where the judge in the United States he makes a no ruling case in the SEC Binance document. Uh, Judge Zia, he did not make any rulings on the SEC discovery requests or Binance US opposition. Um, what did what did what did the judge do precisely? He declined to order Binance.us to make its executives more available for depositions or for the US Securities and the Exchange Commission to back down its demands for more documents during the hearings. So what he said is, I'm not going to order from the bench right now that they produce, and by they means Binance, produce or not produce things. Let's continue to try to work this out. I just want to keep things moving. At the heart of this argument is the following: the SEC wants to be 100% sure that Binance.us has the custody of the money that its clients are giving to Binance.us. So the SEC wants to be sure that Binance.us has an appropriate cold storage solution, and that the management, the access to those funds on cold storage solutions or on the self custody is in fact in the United States and not somewhere else. And not only that, they want to make sure that as well there's no commingling of deposits between what traders do, what Binance trades with, and what customers are just holding on the platform. This is I would say, a soft win for Binance. There is still a long race in this. Um, I wouldn't say it's a war against Binance, but perhaps that the SEC is smart and they know, hey, this company has a lot of money, they have deep pockets, so let's drain them out. Perhaps is a strategy in order to hurt Binance.us. Remember, this traces back to FTX, and we're gonna talk about it towards the end of the session. The good news, and perhaps maybe boring week is a little bit of overstatement, but this week was exciting for the venture capital people because Blockchain Capital launched two new funds over for a total of $580 million. And their intention as well was to bring a $2 billion fund, but they said $2 billion is a lot of capital and liquidity for the current market. They were satisfied with the $580 million investment into new crypto projects, into new crypto infrastructure, whether it is decentralized finance or centralized finance, consumer apps, social gaming. These are the major pillars for those two new funds to channel money into new projects, and as well with Visa, and I think PayPal is on board. And Visa and PayPal, they said something interesting, that they're not into this fund to make profits. They're into this fund to keep an eye on the ground on the players that they should work with. So this is a very sentimental and very pivotal point for um, this year, at least in terms of investments and participation from financial institutions like PayPal launching the stable coin, Visa launching its program with Solana stable and stable coins for cross-border settlements. Now they're coming not only with their technology and capability, but they're coming as well with their money, and they're coming to keep an eye on the ground to see who they can work with. This means those two giants are not satisfied with what they have for now. They have an eye for the future, and more investments will come out of those two companies. From Visa, PayPal, and the new fund, we go to the Bitcoin price volatility. And because of what we're seeing in the Fed rate decisions, we saw as well the consumer price index, the CPI, coming out last week. There is no major volatility on the horizon. It is depressed. And perhaps this is why I used today the term boring, because from a Bitcoin price perspective, it was a boring week. Not so many activity happened on chain or even in the price action perspective. So the Fed chairman Jerome Powell said that this is likely to attempt that the volatility killing will not affect directly the market pricing of a hike this year, and they expected for the next 3 years to shift or to change. So if we look at the Bitcoin options market pricing, traders are expecting that Bitcoin will only move by maximum of 3%, a sign that nobody expects in any market move. And these comments are coming from Chairman Paul. So this is not only happening in the US, and regulation scrutiny over crypto is not coming from the US as well. It is shadowing and moving those concerns to other countries like Philippines. So Philippines has went to work with the SEC as well and other American institutions on regulating the crypto markets in the Philippines. So with their SEC collaboration and international organization, they want to enforce more crypto rules in Philippines. Um, Philippines is a very important market in crypto. It belongs in the big Asia adoption crypto trends. There is a high diaspora for Philippines, high smartphone penetration. The islands are distributed and financially disconnected, where today in the Philippines they use the pawn shops and those uh, yeah, we call them in Arabic al-kishk, or the small shops. Those are the major money transmitters today. So if you want to send money from an island to an island, you're gonna go to a pawn shop and you tell them, okay, send me this $100 to this second island, and the second island they have this more or less another pawn shop, and they are able to pick it up from that address. The remittances that happen into the Philippines are big. The number of crypto projects that saw success in the Philippines, especially the gaming ones, are big. And perhaps this is why the Philippines is looking into its citizens, and they trying to curb this adoption of digital assets. Finally, the big news for the FTX case, something that many of us were expecting and something that many of us were pointing to, with FTX suing the mother and the father of SBF, or Sam Bankman Fried. And this is an attempt to claw back some misappropriate misappropriated funds. In our previous sessions, we have covered how SBF was putting property in his father's name, in his mother's name, and how they uh, FTX and Alameda Research funds were used for the personal and private benefits of his mother and his father. Now, this is a move from FTX to claim back this money, but the social status as well of SBF, his mother and his father are quite significant in the U.S. political, educational, and economical circles. So this will have a bigger damage than the few villas or apartments that they can claw back, but the reputational damage, this is done for a pretty long time, and that's what SBF as well knows that. And recently he said that he might, or he is, the most hated person on earth today. So with this, Rudy, we can close the news for week 38. We're approaching the end of December, end of September, and we have a new quarter upon us. Hopefully, we're gonna see some more price action. Bitcoin back at the $30,000 levels. Uh, with the new conferences happening between Dubai, Singapore, and the rest of the world, I think the crypto action is a little bit back on. The fire is a little bit back on, and we're looking forward for the start of the last quarter of the year for Q4. Back to you, Rudy.
Indeed. I think it's going to be some more driving force towards, getting back into the action. So I'm trying to plan next month carefully, because the amount of events that we are involved in is really it's a frenzy. So amazing. And then the success of the last week event that happened in not Shanghai, was really something to be put on the map also, because what they did is something. So let's see. Officially, the week of crypto, or the month of crypto, has started in September in Dubai. So next month we're starting very hard. I'm trying to count the events. I think I have personally more than 12 events in the crypto space, other than the technology ones, and it's interesting times. So let's see and what will happen. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Tay, for this week's update. Congrats again to Simon. Simon is not here to say anything. Usually he's here somewhere. Not this time. Maybe he's as you mentioned, on his way back. Now there's a lot of people that he will face now, because there's a lot of people that helped him to pay bail. So let's see how will this fold now also. Other than stepping from one, now he has hundreds of people that wants something because he promised them with the payments. But let's see how this will. I don't think it should be a problem, but uh,
True. I don't think this is a problem for Simon. It is more today of the fact that he's innocent, that the
yeah,
court said we knew that he's innocent. Perhaps we could have done more in helping him to prove his innocence. We all did what we could on a personal and private matters. But again, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, we could have always done more. And when we say we, it's not me and Rudy, but say as well as a Lebanese government,
exactly.
embassies. It can happen to anyone, and it is sad to see that no one took care of this guy except the WhatsApp group that he's in and
The
the crypto
community,
people,
exactly.
the
That's
community, and the people that he knows. So this is again a proof for us that when communities come together and they want to do something, they're able to do it. Peter McCormick was in Beirut as well for a few days, and they were able to light streets in Beirut using donations done over Lightning Network that came into Peter's wallet. And again, this is an example that if communities want to do something together, they're able to do it. And then that's it.
anyway. Thank you, Tay. Have a good one. See you next week.